Dude,
Hi.
how's it going?
Yeah, not bad. How are you? All right?
Yeah, getting there. Yeah, no, it's all right. It's all right. I'll chat through something. I've been trying a few things like physical wise, like sort of mini challenges, and so, some of them been going my way, some of them haven't. And yeah, there's one that's sort of niggling at me. But more than that. Right, got Rich bowling in as well. Oh, let Rick and Rich in. There we go. 2 for 1.
Packers fan.
Hey.
Oh boy.
Afternoon, morning, fellas.
Hey, how are we doing?
Very good, very good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
I think your hair's getting blonder every week, Rich.
Yeah, certainly done it, Alex. You know me.
Yeah, lemon juice or highlights.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Good stuff. Cool. Well, look, welcome. This is Rick's first tribe session. Came in and introduced himself. So welcome to the group, Rick. This is sort of our group that's going through at the moment. Got Nick, who I don't know if he's going to pop on later as well. And obviously we'll be getting some more guys going through as sort of weeks progress. But welcome on board to sort of week 1. This is you've done onboarding. This is your first week, isn't it?
Yeah. First week, just a couple days in.
Cool, nice. Well, look, we're going to go through some wins. We're going to go through some hot seats and talk about some of the challenges that have come up this week. I was saying to James just before you guys jumped on, it's like one of the things that I've been focusing on this week is I've just finished redoing part of the last bit of the course. And whilst most of this program is about pitting you against you, you know, there's not really too much competition between each other, but in one of the last weeks, there is a little bit of like, we kind of, there's going to be like a leaderboard. There's going to be like a little mini challenge where people will start to compete against each other. And I was thinking, I don't know, have you guys seen the second Top Gun film? Have you seen that at all?
No, but my wife's seen it a number of times, and I can sure you can guess why.
Well, yeah, I can understand, right? I mean, I've watched it a number of times, probably for the same reason, and I'm a straight guy. But no, it's one of the things that kind of stood out to me is like never asking someone to do something you can't do yourself. So this kind of challenge I've been trying to do, and I've been falling flat on my face time after time. And kind of the reflection or kind of takeaway from me was I remembered when I first signed up to do any sort of like big ultra challenge. I'd been going to the gym like when I was a bit younger, but I'd never done like an ultra challenge before. And my coach at the time was trying to ask me to do 5 sets of 12 pull-ups. It's like I could do like 1 or 2, but after that it was like 8 and then 6 and then probably 2 or something. And I was just like, dude, I can do everything else that you're kind of given me to do, but I can't do like 5 sets of 12 pull-ups. I literally can't. And he was just like, well, how many times do you go in? It's like, well, I do this session twice a week. So just go in every day and just do 1 set of pull-ups as you kind of walk past the gym on, you know, way to lectures or whatever. And so so I did that. And over time, it like didn't happen overnight, but over time got to the place was doing 6 sets of 18 or something like that, pull-ups, which I would absolutely struggle to do now. But I think the kind of takeaway from me, and this is something that I'm trying to condition myself back into, is just every day, that little bit more, just every day kind of do one thing that's going to take you sort of closer to your goal. And I know that you talked about this in your post earlier in the week, James, when you're talking about the program. You sort of said, you know, one of the key takeaways the first month for you is Kaizen, you know, which is just one thing that's going to take you further, right? Don't focus on the transformation, the end goal, just focus on one thing that can kind of take you further. So that's what kind of stood out to me. But enough about me. I want to talk through some of your guys' wins. So I'm just going to share my screen and we'll jump in and talk through some of these together. Right, where are we? So, and Rich, you have done well there, very well. James, talk me through some of these. So it's been a bit of a tough week, and we're going to jump into that in a bit more detail in a while. But talk me through the wins first.
I think actually, on hindsight, it's probably one of the biggest wins I've had. I've kept going because this is I've got to stages like this before, and I basically not done it. I would have gone back. So I've kept going. I've still been getting up at 6 every morning doing my exercises. I've done one of my exercise sessions today. The others 2 are scheduled for tomorrow. I'm absolutely wiped, mentally and physically, but I'm carrying on and I'm doing little bits where I can. And yeah, I think it's been a tough couple of days, and I can't really put my finger on it, but it's life, and that's where I've come actually realised that it's life. We do go through these slumps, and it's just carrying on, doing the best you can. And I actually did in my swimming today. I did my largest, according to Apple Watch anyway, my largest calorie burn while swimming. So a bit of a win this afternoon.
Yes, okay.
So, and the protein I'm doing okay in, and the stoicism, I've started that before, and I've always done it on an app, but I've actually, after seeing the video and taking a bit of advice from someone else that does it, like getting a book and actually physically writing it in there as well. So behind me, I've got a lovely leather bound book that my son nearly destroyed because he opened the Amazon package straight away. But yeah, no, there I am.
Good. There's something about, I don't know, it's something, I read something somewhere once, that the act of writing down something in a book as opposed to like typing it out,
Yeah,
I mean, it to a part of your brain that you wouldn't otherwise have access to.
yeah, and I mean, when I was really successful in my career, I always used to have a notebook and write stuff down. And one of the reasons I with my job, I have to have everything on cloud and accessible. So I've got the pencil, so I actually use it to write, but it's going into a screen. So yeah, no, you're right. Writing something down, it channels your brain, channels your mind. You're doing it.
So this is because we talked last week, right, that this was possibly the longest that you've been continuing on a period of transformation without kind of throwing in the towel, right? You've kind of had successes in the past, but then you've had blips and kind of it's gone a little bit like this, but it was still quite positive in the majority last week. This week, there's a lot of wins there, but it's like the overall ethos is it's a bit more challenging. What's allowed you to keep going? What's sort of underpinned that biggest win? Why is that?
So on Saturday, one of my outcomes for the week was to drink no more than 6 beers, alcoholic drinks, and I went over that on Saturday, and I was gutted, and I was probably one of the reasons, because I do the weigh-in on Sunday morning where the food was processed. It was probably why I hadn't lost weight. And I was really disappointed. And then I was trying to tell myself, I knew there was going to be a blip. It wasn't, you said to me before, and it's not a straight line, it's going to go in curves. And this is one of the first one. And the reason I kept going was because I put all this hard work in. I can see the results really. And I really want to do it. I really want it. And I know I can do it. And on Sunday morning, got straight back on it. Didn't wallow, because I could have gone a couple of days and gone, and then got straight back on the horse Sunday morning, done a massive walk. I know it wouldn't have undone what I'd done, and I was accountable to myself and everything. But I got back on the horse and I've kept going, and I've done all my exercises since. I haven't missed an exercise session.
Nice. Okay, dude. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a little bit. Rick, just starting out this week, have you found things the last 7 days or so?
Yeah, I mean, for me, having started just, from our onboarding call last week to today, it hasn't even quite been 7 days. I have just been trying to get the little wins. So, getting up and doing those morning motions, doing the cold shower, 90 seconds today, yesterday, the day before, just having those little pieces start to break through has been really good. Today will be the first day that I've had a chance to schedule and we'll follow up through the 3 workouts, the 3 30-minute workouts. Although earlier in the week I did do a 2.5 mile walk, so I'm ahead of that. But I took the time to schedule the workouts today, Friday, Saturday, and plan to stick with those. So that way I'm following that rule. Other than that, it's been a fairly easy first week because I see it's that build up. And so it's just, this is a great first call. I'm going to hear the guys that are ahead of me. Yeah. So that's where I'm at today. Little win.
Nice. And this is it, right? Back to Kaizen, little wins, celebrating the wins, building some momentum. We'll talk about this throughout the program, but just so you solidify in your own mind and for the benefit of the other guys here, it's like, what's your driving force here? What's your reason why, as it stands at the moment? Why did you kind of come on board this program?
Yeah, I think my biggest reason is that I'm really good at grabbing a quick diet and dropping weight and then hitting the numbers I need. And then 60 days later, right back to where I started. And this year alone, I've done it twice. I went to Nepal. I worked out like crazy to get ready to go hike around the Everest region, and got there and knocked it out of the park, and came back and went back to the old habits. And then right before my wedding in August, I did the same thing. I dropped 15 pounds, got into good shape, made sure the suit fit, made sure I looked good. And now I'm, right before I got on these calls, or before I jumped in with Alex, I had already regained all of that I'd lost. And I just don't want those ups and downs, because I start to get in that funk. Just like you said, James, I start to get in that funk, like, Jesus, this sucks. This is awful. And then you just want another beer, or you want to run and get a cheeseburger. And I just don't want that to keep happening. So.
Nice. And why do you think, or do you think, that this is going to be different this time than what you've tried in the past?
I mean, you're a pretty good sales guy, so I'm kidding. Honestly, and I don't mean to make your head any bigger, Rich, but I watched your interview with Rich and him explaining things and how it's going for him, and that was the final piece to the puzzle. I had done a lot of research. I'd reviewed a lot of the stuff that you had sent over in videos, but then Rich's kind of Q&A between you guys was the final linchpin. So I appreciate your taking that time.
Cool. We'll talk about Rich's cut at the end. Yeah.
It's just gone up, Rick. It's just gone up.
Good stuff. All right, Mr. Slatter, your wins this week, or the last seven days.
Yeah, so it's a bit like we were talking about the on the last call. I've not fallen off the wagon. I've not sort of finished working with you sort of in quite an intense period and gone, right, fuck it, I'll go back to what I was doing. But it felt to me like I needed to just reconnect with why. I've kind of done one fairly intense initial phase and got a lot out of that, and I want to kind of catch myself before I have a hiatus, go backwards, and then inevitably go forwards again. So the last couple of weeks, that's what I've been focusing on. And fortunately, I'm nowhere near sort of as I say, completely falling off the wagon or anything like that, but it just felt like getting the fire back, getting the drive back was important. And there's absolutely some wins there. Basics, resistance training, doing the runs, all that sort of stuff. So that was good, and it felt good, and I was enjoying it. And I was sort of, as we were speaking about previously, focusing on making sure that I was enjoying it, and was. I know, and I'm suspect I'm not alone here, the point at which this feels like I'm doing it because I have to, this is not gonna, it's not gonna stick, and it's not gonna be that sustained sort of change that Rick's talking about. It's exactly what I was after. And yeah, I've gone out, I've run, it's been enjoyable. The resistance training, which is always the part of things that I'm sort of less inclined to do, you know, new app that we were talking about last week seems to have just helped with the gamification of that. I need to keep an eye on this. I need to hold myself to account. I need to continue that, but it feels like I'm starting to gain that momentum back on that, which is great. The meditation side of things, you know, sort of making sure that the mindset is something I continue to focus on. That's really starting to feel like that's gaining momentum. It, like, the meditation for me always feels like tiny increments. It's not the sort of thing that you can, you know, do a really good run or a really good workout and get a big kick of dopamine and all the rest, you know, get a big rush. But the meditation thing is just starting to bear a bit of fruit, which is nice. And I've been, as I say, final point, just continuing on the just reminding why I turned up for session 1 and all the rest of it. And it's all very subtle. And if I pitch it wrong, it will sound insignificant, but it feels like a small course correction, a small bit of focus now to maintain the momentum. And, you know, it like the net impact is it feels good. It feels on a more positive trajectory.
Nice. I mean, these numbers from what we talked about last week, they're exactly what you plan to do, right? And so that's really strong. I think with the meditation, it's like with the physicality. If someone sees you every day, which you see yourself every day, the differences are going to be so subtle that you see in the mirror, which is why we do weekly and monthly before and afters, right? So you can notice the difference. But someone else that doesn't see you for a month or 2 months, they will probably notice quite a difference in just your personality, like your presence, how you come across. And if people don't see you for a year and you've been consistently meditating and going in and doing the internal work, I remember when I did like a 7-week intensive course in meditation, and right off the bat, it's like we had to meditate for an hour a day. And as someone who'd never meditated before, it's like, fucking hell, you know, I was just like blown away with, you know, sitting there fidgeting, feeling agitated. And it probably wasn't until about 3 weeks in that started to fade. And then when you actually just show up and consistently, like going to the gym, consistently do the work, it's like going to the gym, but for your mind. And, you know, without kind of going too deep into it, they talk about like the meditation and the work that you're doing in that space, you are in effect like rewiring your brain. That's where that part of the equation happens. Yes, you can do all these affirmations and mindset exercises, but the meditation really is one of the key ones that allows you to just change how you think on an ongoing and consistent basis. So, you know, you found something that works for you, keep up with it, dude, because those numbers are looking great.
Yeah, the meditation thing, like the app that I'm using, I've been trying to work out, like, I might just falling victim to you know, a clever bit of salesmanship or something. And I think the thing that differentiates this, or the thing that I've convinced myself differentiates this, which is a subtle point, is that when I'm doing a guided meditation, it's a little bit of an intro. This is what we're going to focus on. This is why we're going to do it. And it just gives me that, right, now I know why they're doing it. So it sort of satisfies the sort of slightly analytical, slightly detailed part of my personality. And then the other thing that's really subtle is at the end of today's meditation, there's a hook into tomorrow's meditation. And we've done this today, and that's why we've done it. And tomorrow we're going to do this. And I go, let's get into it. It's just little subtle things like that. When I compare to me sat on my own, not doing an unguided meditation, I am nowhere near competent enough doing this sort of, or confident enough doing this sort of thing, just to sit there, have 10 minutes on my own and come away. And I think it's that way of starting to train myself, you know, bridge the gap between my own lack of knowledge or competence or confidence at meditating and getting there. And I think I've been trying to work out why I need somebody to tell me how to sit and think, and I think that's what I've landed on.
Cool, awesome. Well, look, some solid wins there. Right, let's jump in to do some hot seats, guys. So we'll loop back round on the 3 aims that we've got for like each week. And we'll talk through kind of what's the focus for this week ongoing. And also, if you've done any, you know, James, you've done like a mindset exercise, we'll talk through a little bit of that and any challenges that people have. And so, James, you want to jump in first? remind me, what was your aims? I think we might have even got them documented in here, but what was your aims for last week? You're muted.
First one's to come off mute.
First one's to come off mute. Yeah, so last week I was just feeling on top of it. So I think one of them was to lose another K, because I've been losing consistent weight, which didn't happen. To eat better nutritionally, and I think I'm, other than the Saturday blip, I've done that, and getting much better now with portion sizes as well. And the third one was just to keep going, and even though I didn't get the results I expected or hoped for, expected, I did it. So I think I'd done all the work other than the Saturday, and but I just didn't get the results the first time. And maybe that's where I knew there would be a blip, but when it actually happens, it's a bit different, isn't it? It's a bit like those experiences you read about something, or you experience, and then when you actually experience it, it's different. And you've got to, as I say, I'm thinking about it, I'm quite proud, Dale, that I've just carried on. That Sunday morning, I actually got up and did it. Just yeah. And then I watched the videos. I've got into a routine on Sunday morning when the videos drop, sitting exactly where I am now with a nice cup of coffee and going through them and writing down all the new things that I need to do. So I did that as well.
Nice. I've just started to add some additional videos to each of the modules this week called Motivation to Inspiration. Now, I think James and Rich, you'll know what I mean when I say this, but Rick, for your benefit, Motivation to Inspiration is this, it's almost like a pivotal part of this program, that motivation requiring an external stimulus is reliant on willpower. And people talk about needing to be motivated. But when it relies on something that can be exhausted, as willpower has been tested and shown to be, it becomes a little bit transigent and can fade, and it's not really consistent. So we talk about inspiration as actually a motivated state, so to speak, but one that is internally reflective, and it's very much linked to your values. So you have an emotional connection to it. And because of that, it's much stronger, and it's almost impossible to derail it. You can consciously choose to not be inspired for a period of time, but it tends to come back stronger, and it's much, much, much more consistent. So I started to put these videos into each of the modules, just some sort of like motivating, inspiring videos to kind of help shift you, get you in a motivated state for a period. But over time, because you're consistently feeling motivated and you're connecting to your reason why, you start to feel inspired. And I think one of them was talking about this guy, Ross Edgley, who he planned to swim for 72 hours round this. We've got these weird things called locks, Rick, in England, which are kind of like a big pond, basically. And so he was going to swim around it for 72 hours. And at 52 hours or 54 hours, something like that, he got pulled out by his medical team because he had hypothermia. It got colder through one of the nights than envisaged. And it just sort of struck me, it's like, that's a really strong example of someone that's trained for something for, maybe like a year, right? Possibly longer. Really put his all into it. It's an incredible challenge, but you could view that as, well, he didn't set the world record. Probably partially in his own mind, he failed, right? But he's had examples like this where with previous challenges where he hasn't achieved what he set out to, but he's come back and he's done another challenge and smashed another world record, right? So James, you might feel that you step on the scales and it's not where you want it to be. The scales is maybe part of the destination. You're on the journey, you're doing all the right things, right? Saturday, you can view Saturday as Saturday I failed, I fell off the bandwagon. Or it can be fucking Saturday didn't go to plan. Tell you what, Sunday and Monday are going to fucking go to plan.
Yeah, no. Saturday was one of those days where from a personal point of view, was amazing. I go, I'm a member of my local rugby club, London Welsh, and basically the team were at the bar and they'd noticed me at all the games, and before I knew it, I was with the team. So I had a fantastic time. You know, if I wasn't on the program, it would have been amazing, and drinks were just being bought for me. And, you know, when I look back, I should have had a bit more self-discipline and just said, no, I'm all right, thank you. But I didn't. I went with the moment. But I am proud that I got up Sunday morning and done it. And I did it, you know, I was good Sunday, you know, I was back on it, you know, back monitoring myself and checked back in. So, yeah.
Nice. Look, so you're a man in the afternoon and evening, right? Going out, having some drinks, and you're going to be a man in the morning, getting up and doing the work. And that's it, right? It's an isolated event. What else is kind of like? Has anything else been a challenge this week at all? Has anything not gone your way or been difficult?
Yeah, I mean, work. Rick, I'm self-employed consultant, so doing lots of bid work, and you know, you're trying to get in on contracts and everything. There was a couple that I had that have been rejected, so I think that's dented a bit of confidence as well. But just literally 2 minutes before this call came in, looks like I've got something. So you just got to hang in there, haven't you? You just got to believe in yourself from a personal point of view. And, you know, I put that down to, you know, hard work, but what you've been teaching me as well, Alex, and off this program, you just got to keep going. You've got to keep believing in yourself, doing the right things from a physical point of view to put yourself in that, and also more importantly, mentally giving yourself those opportunities. I think about 2 or 3 months ago this afternoon, my discipline would have gone, and I'd have just either gone down the pub or just crashed out on the bed and watched a film. But I didn't, kept going. I've been writing stuff this afternoon. I'm on this. So yeah, it's good.
Why has that changed? Why did you not go to the pub, but you're choosing to find a different way to process it?
Because one of my favorite films is Apollo 13. I've watched it so many times, so I'm quite into space and everything like that. But there's a line that Tom Hanks, the character he's playing of I've forgotten his name. Anyway, he basically says we could keep walking around the room arguing and just keep going round and round and round, or we can sort out the problem and just deal with it and do your best. And I could have gone to the pub this afternoon, had a great time for about a couple of hours, you know, and then on the walk home, I would have started feeling shit. By the time I got home, I would have felt really shit. I wouldn't have slept well. And then tomorrow morning, I've got exactly the same situation in front of me, but with a hangover and feeling tired, and I've still got to do it. I may as well. There's no point. There's no point.
Okay, so you're benefiting from slightly different actions. Who else benefits from you processing these kind of difficult times and emotions in a slightly different way? Who else benefits?
Well, my wife will, not being a pain. My son will, and he's, you know, I'm able to do more things with him at the moment, I've noticed. So, and hopefully, ultimately, that will roll into my work as well. So, yeah.
When we're in like problems, dudes, like we each think that they're all consuming, and sometimes we think that we're the only people that face into them. Not too long ago, probably at some point last year, I remember having 16 game plan calls, like probably each and one of you guys would have been on with me. 16 game plan calls on the trot. Every person that I spoke to said, no, that's not for me, thanks. When you get that much no, right, it's easy to think, well, is it me? Right, or give up, want to throw in the towel. And at that point, you have to go back to your strong reason why that's the only thing that can keep you going. And it's like that much failure. And Michael Jordan talks about it. It's like saying that he was entrusted with the game-winning shot on 24 different occasions and missed, right? And has, missed hundreds, if not thousands of shots, has failed time and time again. And that's exactly why it succeeds. And so you going out and doing your own business and consultancy, you're going to have all of these sort of failures and ups and downs, but it's the resilience that keeps you going. That's what you're going to be. That's what you're kind of practicing on this program, but you're practicing it. It's like, why do we practice? We practice so that we can perform, right? And so your business, you being a consultant, is your performance. When you get to actually work, that's you performing. But the practice is going through the ups and the downs and winning business and not winning business.
Yeah, agree. Thank you. Yeah.
So this week, what's your 3 aims? What are you focusing on?
Well, so this weekend I'm seeing my best mate for the first time in about 6-7 months. He's coming to visit. We're going to a concert, and looks like we're going to another concert on Saturday. So my aim is to be as good as to be structured. I know I'm going to have a few drinks with him because I'm singing for so long, but I'm going to plan it. The journey's going to be planned, so I know that I'll be eating properly before and after. Other aim is just to carry on the protein. I think is helping, really upping the dosage of protein. So I want to carry on with that. It's filling me up more, so I'm snacking less. And mentally, I think I'd just like to especially after this call, just reset, reflect, know that I'm on the right path, and just keep going.
You were writing in your mindset exercise this week, right? So you did the 2 paths and you wrote out 2 different eventualities. One is about 3 years in the future, wasn't it? One where it was like life wasn't bad. It was okay. There was some, like, health was a little bit creaking at the seams, but it wasn't really that negative, right? But the other one was very different. What kind of stood out to you when you were doing that exercise?
It was good to think in that way, that I found the 3 years going down the negative path, it was quite hard to write, because it was a real, this could happen. I could just carry on and being okay, and nothing would change. Mentally, I'd still be the same. Physically, I'll be all right, but borderline. So I found that quite hard to write. It was quite revealing in how I probably brought to the surface a lot of the feelings, like why I came on the program. And then writing the path that I've chosen, I found it quite liberating, and I found it achievable. I think for the first time, Kaizen's really, I've been using it a lot in my work, but I've never really felt about using it in the mental and physical side, which I'm learning now with you and you guys, and that's really helping. And when you have to write outcomes or goals, and you always want them to be achievable, and I don't think I've written anything in there that isn't achievable, and that's good. And it's a good thing as well. I've been honest in there as well, that I won't be perfect, and I'm not. That's why I came on this program, because I don't have to be perfect. I have to be good nearly all of the time. But if I do slip up, and there's sometimes good reasons why I do, I know that I've got a structure to fall back on. It's one-off. It's one of those things. Just get on, keep going.
What do you want to be saying this time next week when we talk, right after your friends come? What sort of things do you want to be saying?
That I kept it level. I had a really good time with him. Just for the other guy's appreciation, he'd gone through hell. I don't. There's no point going into details, but I haven't seen him for a long time, and it's going to be quite significant when I see him. And yeah, I'd just like to have had a bit of fun, but I've kept up with the morning movement. I've been as good as I possibly can be with my diet. Mentally, I've kept going. Yeah, I'd like to tell you that we had a really good time at Orteca on Saturday and Friday night at the Barbican.
Nice. Well, let's check back in on it next week, right? But dust yourself off this week. Plan, control the controllables, ignore the rest, keep doing what you're doing, right? 3 aims that we talked through, just get those in the group so we can talk about those next week, yeah?
Sure, Alex, yeah.
Okay. Rick, so first week, obviously not even quite a week since we talked through onboarding. What was the focus for you this week? What are the 3 things that you're working on or towards?
Yeah, I think we actually had put in 5 things just to kind of kick us off the first week. The first was scheduling those 3 by 30-minute sessions and following through on those. And that starts today for me, although I did do a 30-minute workout earlier this week. So that's a good way to start the week and a good way to continue to finish the week. The second thing was just starting the path of the conscious consistency towards nutrition. Looking at my food diary from last weekend and seeing if I can't continue to improve upon that, increase my protein, kind of throw out some of the crap junk food that I've been eating. And so that's been a little tougher this week already, just because of time, right? Just trying to settle in, take care of some work stuff, take care of some volunteer stuff. But I'm keeping a food diary. I'm seeing where I'm falling short, and I'm each day I'm like this morning I looked at that diary from yesterday and I said, okay, this is where I went wrong, and today I can do better. And so just little things like that. The third thing, I guess it's only 4 things. The third thing was hydration, and that one I've kept up pretty easily. 3 liters is a lot. It's about 100 ounces here in the States, and I'm at about 92 ounces each day, every day this week. So I'm really close. I think it'll be tough for me to get 100 ounces every day just because it's a lot for me. I don't drink that much water. I typically drink about 64 to 80 ounces, but I'm doing it. I'm making sure I'm getting as close to that as possible. So I'll try to keep hitting that 100 ounce number every day without having to stand and pee 50 times. So
It's get easier, I promise. It does get easier.
I'm sure it will. Yeah. And so I have gone from a consistent average of about 64 ounces this week to a consistent average of about 90 ounces. So it's coming along, and I think I'll get there. I think as I shift my nutrition away from some of the junk food, I'll have more space for the water. And then that'll also create this cycle where now I'm not hungry for the junk food. And the last one is morning movements, which included the cold shower routine. And I've actually done that in the past. When I was in the military, that was actually one of our workout regimens, is that you would do ice baths, you do cold showers. And so it's been a good thing to get back into those little things like that. The only setback I have right now is this morning, last night, actually, I started getting some muscle fatigue in my back, and I feel like my back is just about to lock up on me. So I've just been doing a lot of stretching, a lot of low impact, movements, just to make sure that I can continue on with the 3 by 30 for the rest of the week.
Okay, nice. What sort of challenges apart from the back do you see coming up over the next 7 days? Is there anything that's going to be difficult time-wise, nutrition-wise, anything like that?
Yeah, the first week of the month is always tough for me because I have a number of volunteer board meetings. I'm on a veteran board. I'm on a local charity board, and that typically involves, dinner before the board meeting, and then the board meeting, and then drinks, and so all of these things that fall into that, and that's this week. First one was last night. There's another one tonight, and then there's another one on Friday as well. And so last night I was okay. Tonight it'll be easy. I'll be able to kind of set my standard, not have any drinks, not do anything crazy. Friday includes a full kind of banquet. And so that's going to be a little tougher to just be mindful of my nutrition. So I'm going to try and make sure that I get a workout in before I go to the banquet, keep myself going a little bit in that sense. That'll also keep me ready to talk to all those boorish people and just be energized for that. So there, you know, the first week of every month tends to be tough. This week's going to be tougher because of that banquet. It's not a normal board meeting. It's just other things like that. So those are kind of the hurdles that I'm looking at this week. But this weekend is a nice wide open weekend. We have a plan to go to a natural history museum. We have a plan to go for a small hike. So we're planning our weekend to just kind of get out into the world. So it'll be good.
Okay, nice. You cool if I just ask a few questions on that? Is that all right?
Yeah.
So when you say I'm going to try and get a workout in before, is it you're going to try, or you are going to get a workout in before?
It's scheduled. So, and for me, if it's on the schedule, I rarely bump things. So I think I need to change my mindset from try to I'm going to. I think that's a good way to put it.
One of the things, and I'm not saying this is you, right, but one of the things that can sometimes happen when I've coached clients in the past is the types of people that come on this program, and I think we all can be like this a little bit sometimes, right? Is that we're so focused on business that business can be the most important thing. It's a value because it enables us by giving us an income. We quite enjoy it because you can see the success, and therefore quite a lot of our identity is linked in with it. And so when there's like a meeting with your boss, it's like, you wouldn't say like, I'm going to try and make that meeting with you. They'd kind of look at you and like, no, fucking be there, right? And it's, you know, with our workouts, it's not like in the military, fucking be there, but it is yourself. It's like maybe starting to give yourself the respect that if I'm committing to get something in, I'm giving it the same gravitas as I would a meeting with my boss, right? If it gets scheduled, it's getting done. Now, it doesn't mean when life happens and something, you know, spills over, it's like, okay, well, look, I had it scheduled, didn't get it done. I'm just going to replan it. I'm going to move the Lego block from here to here, right? But that should maybe be like 1 out of 10. The other times it's like, if I'm scheduling it, it's getting done. Work related, personal related, you're treating it with the same respect. It
does. And I appreciate that. You've never met my boss. I try not to meet with him, but no, I'm kidding. No, I'm totally making a joke there. He's actually a great guy. I like the mindset change on that. Not trying to get the workout in, but it's on the schedule. I'm going to get the workout in, and here's why. I like that. Thank you.
And this just final one, like this banquet, right? Sounds like I've got an image in my head of like something between King Henry VIII's feast and Harry Potter or something like that. But you know, these kind of big feasts, and when they put a lot of food and buffet on and stuff, they can bring with it, like, you know, it's great, they're fun, but they can sometimes bring like challenges with it. What's your approach going into it? What elements can you control going into that situation?
Yeah, so I know I can control the amount of fluids I'm going to take in, which means that, you know, I can drink water, I can choose to drink less alcohol. I don't drink a lot of alcohol in general, so I'm not worried about that. That in and of itself means I'll probably have a glass of wine, maybe one additional mixed drink after the banquet's done. And that's a normal night for me, so I'm not too worried about that. But instead of drinking a lemonade or an iced tea or a soda, I'm going to stick to water to cover some of the fact that the banquet includes, I don't even know what's going to be on the menu. I just know that there's going to be a fairly large amount of food. The other piece to that is I plan on, it's a buffet style of a banquet, you know, just a really nice spread. I'm going to take one plate and stick to one plate and not pile it up, right? Not make it a buffet like look at this, there's a huge plate, but instead, you know, it's a plate of good, healthy food, primarily focused on the proteins that are there. You know, maybe a treat for the end, you know, just because it's going to have, you know, like a sweet treat, but make sure that it's not a pile of food and make sure I don't go back for a second. So those are the things I'm going to do to control that banquet, and not all of a sudden feel like I'm bloated.
Nice. And this is it, right? Because some things you can't control. Can't control what they're going to cook. Can't control the menu. You can control, the portion size. You can control within reason, like how much you eat, just by making it conscious, like checking in with yourself. Right, I'm going into this situation that there's elements that I can't control. How much do I want to have? One thing I used to do when I was a personal trainer, like 10 years ago, some clients, I would go and sit around their house, right? We'd look at their plates, and I'd get them to throw away their plates and buy smaller plates. And I would sit there and eat with them, right? Just break bread with them, right? And what I noticed was a lot of guys, right? I'm not saying this is anyone here, but a lot of guys, when they're eating, they're just fucking throwing it down as quickly as possible, right? It's almost like a caveman, right? And just sitting there and enjoying the food, chewing it, like actually chewing it. And just those two small changes, smaller plates and actually just chewing your food a little bit more, they make you eat less and feel fuller, right? So some of these really, really simple things, it's like you can apply that. And if you do it, once, you're going to get a bit of benefit. If you do it consistently, actually over a 12-week period, it's going to make quite a big difference.
I had two mental images, and then I'll let you move on to Rich. The first one is of you breaking bread and then throwing the bread at the dog because you don't want to eat carbs. And the second one is instead of eating small bites, you grabbing like a piece of steak and just shoveling it in your mouth, like gnawing on it.
That happened. I had to, the hardest one to condition. His plates were going everywhere.
Fair enough.
Good stuff. All right. So your 3 aims, just get there, or 4 aims, just get those in the Facebook groups. We're going to loop back around on those next week. Yeah.
Cool.
So, Mr. Slatter. Right. Aims from last week, right? Some good numbers there. And we kind of talked through some of the wins. How's weight loss going? I know we talked that was sort of going like this, and then you had like a little bit of a plateau. Where are we at with that?
So I didn't hit the half kilo, which was what I was hoping for, but it's about 400 grams. I mean, once we're into the minutiae of that, the accuracy of the weighing becomes fairly daft. But so, am I back in weight loss? Yes. Did I hit the target? No. Does it piss me off that I didn't hit the target? Oh yeah, you better believe it. So, one of the targets is to maintain at least half a kilo of weight loss. So carry that target over and actually hit it. And I think there's 2 fairly obvious elements to that. I think it's beginning to increase the scrutiny on the diet because there's something not quite right, or something has changed. I was fairly consistently losing the weight, and now I'm not, and I want to get back on that and just make sure that it is not that stuff's creeping. I don't think it is, but because I'm still tracking everything, but I'm gonna sort of go back to weighing everything. That's what I mean by increase the scrutiny. As we've discussed a few times before, Alex, you start off weighing everything like some sort of absolute lunatic, and then you become, you get your eye in. And I wonder now whether my eye is just being slightly more generous, slightly more just a little, a little bit more generous, a little bit less scrupulous. And I think now it's get the scales back out and just make sure that everything's been watched and measured and put into the app just to get me on that. So that's one, as I said, obvious element to it. The other one is the moving a bit more. Now I'm back in the office regularly now, and I'm quite lucky in the fact that the office is exactly 5.25k away from home, door to door, 5.25k. And the last couple of weeks I've been running in and running home again. And the run in's great because it's downhill and then flat alongside the canal. The run home's a right bastard because it's flat and then uphill to finish the day. So this is a bit of a kicker. But this week, not only did I run in twice, I also was pushing on at the quickest time that I've done it to sort of maximize the intensity. Because if all I do is do a, and I've not done it before, all I was to do is do a fast walk in, I'm not really maximizing the opportunity to burn some calories and do some damage. So so it's about just making sure that I'm pushing on. I enjoy, as we've discussed previously, I enjoy the kick out of competing against myself on getting a bit quicker and starting to shave a little bit of time off and all that sort of stuff. It does keep me motivated. So so alongside, so to support the half kilo and tightening up on the diet, I'm actually going to up the ante, because I know I'm in the office twice. So I'm going to set myself the target of 5 cardio sessions. So that's in and back twice, and then 5 cardio sessions, 4 of which will be 5.25K, either to or from work. The 5th will be a minimum of 15K over the weekend. I haven't decided whether it's going to be Saturday or Sunday, but it'll be one morning over the weekend, minimum of 15K, to get a longer run in, to spend longer in that sort of fat burning cardio phase, to really sort of hopefully give me a good boost, give me a good kick up the arse on the weekend, just to put a dent in the fat loss side of things as well.
Okay. Taking a step back, right? What's the goal or the outcome? If we talk about milestone end of the year, what's the key thing that you want to be different? We talk about performance in general, right? So is it fat loss, linked to weight loss, right? Or is it something else? Like what's the overriding thing that you want to work on?
Well, one of my other goals for this week, and it's written down here, you won't be able to read it, but it is replan goals. What next? That's one of the things I'm going to look at over the next week, because I had really, really clear goals, in the program. I am pretty sure I know my new weight target, but I want to time bound that. So I want to use the renewed energy around this, sort of as part of this phase of working with you and working with the other guys here, to work out, okay, if I lost 10, nearly 11 kilos in the 12 weeks of the program initially, where do I want to get to? What is the time frame that I'm going to put on that? And I think that will help build the focus, the intent, and the drive to get to that. So to start and answer your question, although I want to make sure I give myself a bit of space to actually plan what the goals are. One is absolutely weight loss. I've got 85 kilos in my mind. I'm about 91-ish at the moment, so it's another chunk more weight off. But the other parallel linked goal to that is, as I've already referenced, to enjoy running. I do enjoy running, but that has increased with there being less of me to haul about when I'm running. I think there is still more to go at after that. I really enjoyed running. I really enjoy running further. And I want to use one to support the other, because I think they are kind of symbiotic in that respect. And then I think the rest of the plan is how do I maintain this? As much as I've witted on about starting to fall off or feel like I was in danger of falling off the wagon, the thing that I've maintained is doing a longer run at the weekend and enjoying it. And I think there's more to go. I think I can go further, or I can do it a little bit more often. And I think that's where my focus is going to shift from a goals perspective.
Some thoughts.
Go on. Yeah, please do.
So again, this might change with some of the other performance related goals, but if fat loss is the predominant thing that you're working towards, at least in the health and fitness space, right? I was doing some consultancy the other day, and I was talking to some coaches that were trying to scale and grow their business. And it's like, you can either try and put out a post every single day across your socials, right? And you're kind of speaking to the same audience. We can put out one post and use paid advertising and scale it and go to like a much bigger audience. Now, one is going to take up a lot of time and effort and probably yield not that great a result. And the other one is going to take marginally less effort, right? More financial input, but less effort, and going to yield a much better result, as long as you're good at marketing, right? The running 5 times a week is going to absolutely help you with your fitness goals. And if you do it in a fasted state, you're going to burn up to about 2.5 up to 3 times more fat equivalent, right? But the biggest lever that you probably got right now will be to just almost go back to being meticulous with those weights. So rather than eyeballing, oh, it's that much pasta, thinking it's 100 grams and it's actually 250 or 300. That's probably the biggest lever that you've got to pull, to the extent of, you could, if you were just to do that and do like one run, that would have a bigger bang for buck than doing 5 runs and not doing that.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think, so picking up on your fasted run point, 3 of them will be. So the two morning commutes will be fasted and then have breakfast when I get in. And the long run, I'll fuel part way around. So the first chunk of it will be fasted, but to make sure I make it back again, I probably will eat something at some point on that run, but a chunk of it will be fasted. The 2 in the evening obviously won't be, but I won't have eaten since lunchtime, so I won't be running full. It'll be sort of 4 or 5 hours after lunch, so kind of semi-fasted. Your point around getting meticulous on weighing and properly scrutinizing the diet totally resonates.
Awesome. And again, the sort of final part here, and again, this is, I wouldn't say this to, like, if Rick, for example, is this going to be the biggest lever that Rick can pull coming in? Probably not. But for you right now, it's like, when you take in your carbohydrates, if you were to say, I'm going to have 200 grams of carbohydrates right throughout the day, you're better taking those carbohydrates soon after exercise rather than having them in, let's say, the evening. Because if you take them straight after running, right, your body's about 4 times more efficient at shuttling the glucose and storing it as glycogen in the stored muscle in the liver after exercise for a window of about 90 minutes, maybe up to 2 hours, I think, the sort of the studies have shown, versus having it in the evening, in your evening meal, where you're just going to sit in front of the TV and it's going to sit there, right? And then you're not as efficient at shuttling. So, think about what you're having in terms of like your day's meal aligned to the exercise as well. I think if you can do that, and if you can like track everything, weighing everything, you'll probably see quite a difference in the scales next week.
Excellent. That all makes sense. Typically, after exercise, we'll focus on protein to rebuild. It's really interesting that the carbs are almost exactly the same in that respect. Get them in after you've exercised to maximize the benefit.
Yeah, I mean, my sort of very basic rule is, if I'm not exercising, I try and eat more fats and proteins, right? And if I am exercising, fats, proteins, and carbohydrates and vegetables, basically. And if I am exercising, then I will allow myself more of the kind of starchier carbs, kind of rice, pasta, potato, that kind of thing. Yeah, very sort of basic rule.
Sounds good. So, yeah, 5 cardio, replan goals, where do I want to get to? There are 2 others. Up the ante on the resistance, taking that from 2 to 3 in a week. Because if I'm doing 2 runs in a day, like that's exercise in one day, that's potentially only exercising 3 days. So loading 3 of the other 4 days that remain without a run in with some resistance work. And then the other one is kind of feeding my curiosity back to where I was. Meditation, starting to read around meditation. What could I do with it? What direction could I take it in? Just given the fact that I seem to have noticed that I seem to respond to getting where I, finding out what I could get out of it. I think starting to just read around, go to a few different sources, find out, successes other people have seen from it. What might I get? What might not get? Other places where I can go. So just pique my interest and keep me engaged for the long term by seeing where this journey could take me.
Cool. Try a book when you've got a moment called Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. He breaks down in that book some of the amazing things that people have done through meditation. In a very, again, sort of, I think it'll appeal to you because it's done in a rational, scientific way.
It's as if we've spoken about how my mind works.
Mindful
Boring
molding.
fucker. Yeah.
Good stuff. Any challenges that you sort of think is going to come up this week? Anything's going to be tough?
One, which is got a bit of a twinge in the knee that seems to be going over a few weeks now. So I'm gonna get a bit of support for that while I'm doing obviously the runs, but also the resistance work as well, just to see if I can help that. I don't want to use this as an excuse for not doing this, but I don't also want to get to the point where it gets worse through me trying to do the right thing and it ends up sidelining me for a while. So going to see if I can get a good bit of reasonably heavy support for that, and probably over egg that a little bit, and hope that for a couple of weeks that'll carry a little bit of the load and allow that to recover.
Where on the knee do you feel pain? Is it like underneath the kneecap or on the side?
Exactly under the kneecap.
Okay. If it's at the side, it's quite often ITB that's tight. It's a muscle that basically goes down your leg like that. If it's underneath, it's your kneecaps, like the muscles around the knee need to be strengthened because the kneecap will move a little bit.
Is it exactly? Yeah.
You have
resistance bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can get you an exercise. I don't know if I've got one filmed, but it's called a TKE, which is basically strengthening the hamstring and the muscles around the kneecap to stop it moving around so much, right? That should help with the pain, and it's a prehab and rehab exercise as well.
What you've said around supporting muscles is exactly what the chiropractor sports physio person said last week when I mentioned it to her, and she said start at the hip and work down. Cool. With a start strengthening at the hip and work down. So TKE, I could probably Google it.
TKE, yeah. See if you can find it. I'll try and find a good video, because I don't know what will come up if you put that in YouTube. God knows what.
I won't Google it on the work laptop. Put it that way.
Maybe best not. But yeah, I'll dig it out for you.
Amazing. Thank you.
Cool. All right, guys, that is it for this week. So get your 3 aims or 4 aims into Facebook. We'll talk through those. And of course, you know, this tribe's here if you need any support in the week, anything that comes up, whether it's questions, whether it's, you know, you've just had a fucking shit day or shit couple of days and you just want some support, you know, do put something in the group. I'll always pop in, give you some thoughts, do some videos for you, and if needs be, we can kind of have a one-on-one chat as well. So do use the group; it's there to support you. And I hope you guys have an awesome rest of the week.
Excellent.
See you next week.
Thank you all. Take care.